Mandalorian is definitely a flow game. Most of my games are. I like flow. I like getting into that zone when you're playing, when you're just making ramp after loop after ramp, and you just get that cool feeling that you just can't miss.
You are the Mandalorian, you're going on missions, you're doing bounty hunting, you're being ambushed, you're collecting Beskar. We want the player to be the Mandalorian.
No way.
The Mandalorian, when it came out, I think it reignited that spark that the Star Wars universe really needed. We all took it on because we were so excited to do it.
Star Wars was kind of the reason a lot of us got into what we do. But Star Wars has always kind of renewed itself for every generation.
I'm a founding member of the Church of Star Wars. I just love the universe, right? The question was, why do I love Mandalorian? And because it's great. Like, have you seen the show?
Watching the show and then getting to go to work and work on this was just so fun.
Yeah.
It's my job to come up with the vision and the direction of the project and the play field, and then take everybody who's involved and kind of wrangle them together to create this thing.
We have these teams, a game designer, a software guy, a mechanical guy. When we're in the very beginning stages and we start looking at it, we always want something crazy and new.
In brainstorming, it was really about what are the core elements of the show? What are people going to react to and respond to? The Mandalorian, of course, obviously a key to it. His ship, the Razor Crest. Of course, you had to have the child, Grogu, as we know now.
This is the very first pools out of the mold that made all the childs that are in the game. We went from that guy down to that guy, and that's what's in the game.
We're going to take you over to where we keep some Grogus right now. Normally they keep these under lock and key, because if they get out at night, they wreak havoc in the factory. Here we are, a whole bunch of Grogus right here. Okay, so we're here on the rotisserie. I just want to walk through a few of the unique features on the game for you. We have Grogu, of course, up here in the corner, and since this is a premium playfield, he has the magnet underneath him. This will grab the ball, and then he'll throw it, toss it around, and it'll land in one of the lanes, and you'll get a mystery award. So it's a physical mystery award, and it's whatever Grogu wants you to have is what you're going to get. We have the Encounter mini playfield. 2 full-size flippers and 6 targets up at the top. We go up the ramp, we have this diverter that just comes straight down so that we can give you a few seconds to get ready, because it's a really fast action mini playfield.
From the beginning, Brian wanted a mini playfield in the game.
You want to call it a mini playfield, and I think it's more of an interactive toy that moves, and you have to accomplish goals while you're interacting with it.
I wanted that feel in pinball was when you go up there, we set the stage by holding the ball and getting ready, and then when we release it, it's action, right? You got to go right there and make it happen. And we wanted that to be a quick, short battle, because a lot of his fights are over really quick. But the trickiest part, I think, that I didn't have a solution for, I said, Tom, here, you do this. You're the magical guy on this, was how to have that ball enter no matter what rotation that the mini playfield was.
It turned out to be quite the trick, because now you have this moving area and you got to get a ball to it, and you don't know where it is, so it could be anywhere.
And he came up with a really simple, elegant method of just how he curved the ball guide. No matter what rotation it's in, that ball will roll in and right into the playfield. We have the Razor Crest, which is what we're calling an uplift target. And as you hit the Razor Crest, it qualifies multi-ball. So you hit it X number of times, go up the center ramp, and the ball is held over here for a multi-ball start. So the Razor Crest, it's obviously it's Mando's home, so we see it in almost every episode because he travels everywhere with it, and that's kind of the same feel in the game. So hitting the target is traveling in the Razor Crest until you get to the destination where we play out another scene from the show.
This ship is actually made of 27 injection molded parts, and then it's all glued together like a model toy. Started here, ended up there. So another fun project.
Of course, we have a spinner, Gotta have a TIE fighter spinner on the game. So on the left side of the playfield is a scoop that just holds the ball. This is where the foundry is. Dwight's idea of this foundry, I think, was genius because it allows a lot of RPG-like elements and allows players to form a strategy on how they play the game.
You build up this currency, Beskar, and then at some point you can shoot into the foundry, which is just a scoop on the playfield, and you're presented with a screen, a menu of things that you can trade for, like flamethrower and the rifle and armor, and you're then using that equipment later in the game to benefit you and get you further along.
It definitely has like an RPG vibe to it. But one of the cool things is if you pay attention, you can see that the gear changes on Mandalorian, on his body. Like the armor will swap out, and the emblem will swap out, and things like that.
It's really up to the player to kind of form a strategy of which items should I buy and when should I use them. So I think that adds a lot of depth to the game.
I love that you can go up to the game and the player has some amount of control over how hard it is, or like I can play as a team or I can play as co-op. So I'm really excited about a new play feature that I've added to Mandalorian. It's called Impossible Play. It allows the player to come up and set the game to very hard, and it disables trapping in that you can only flip the flipper for like 2.5 seconds before it's going to shut off on you. You're constantly having to recharge the flipper by letting it go.
We were learning about the show as we were making the show because there were like no leaks.
After each episode came out, I would watch it and then like message Tom and message my coworkers and be like, oh, this would be cool for this.
They'll be like, hey, I just saw this last night, there's the dragon comes out and eats the Mandalorian. That would be a perfect thing for a match effect.
There would be an explosion of chatter like in the next morning. And then Randy would be all over it, sending us pictures of the new artwork with the new stuff that we just saw last night.
Working on this game while the show is coming out is probably the most interesting aspect. It was so secretive. Even people who were making product like us were not allowed to see anything about each episode until it aired.
And Disney kind of alluded to, well, you might want to save some space in the artwork for a couple characters over here.
As we were creating it, it was just kind of a blank spot. We just knew there was going to be a character to put there. We didn't know who it was going to be.
Of course, it was Luke, and it was a pretty special moment to a Star Wars fan to actually see that happen.
Kind of knew right off the front that we wanted to do a spaghetti western kind of a feel. That's where the big inspiration came from. What we liked about the spaghetti western was that it was very bright colors, very expressive strokes of paint on all the posters. What matters most is composition and the excitement.
We took kind of that comic book style, we looked a little bit at that concept art that they put at the end of all the episodes, and I think it looks amazing.
The programmers would come to us with story ideas and ideas of like which episode they want it to come from, and we would take the footage from the actual show and then dig in there and try to find like the little versions of the story. But there were a couple other things, like the more pinball things, like extra ball and like ball save and things like that we would have to come up with and either find in the show or hand draw and to later be animated.
We really wanted to capture all the aspects of the show that make it so fun. All the different adventure, the Western aspect of it, and the humor. I was a big fan of IG-11, and I got to do the skill shots. The super skill shots in the game are actually our own 3D models of the characters, and we got to animate them and everything like that, and that was really cool.
Let's take a look at it from underneath. We have the motor here for the Encounter mini playfield, and then we have the magnet over here for Grogu, of course. The other interesting things about the backside is all the wiring. I think there's like a mile of cables or so. It's like the spine of the game. You also see some of the coils on the game. These here are the pop bumpers. So we have the slings here, and then we have the flippers. And here's the trough that kicks the balls out. And this is the kicker on the shooter lane. So as you can see, all the fun is on the top side. That's our challenge, is to make every game fun and have all those pieces come together in a fun way.
Star Wars as a whole, and in particular, a lot of like Disney shows kind of walk that line really well of having action, but also having heart and also having humor. And I think that this game also does a good job of that.
Pinball today is experiencing another golden era. In the 90s, we just made lots of games and it was popular, but that's because sort of arcades were popular. Now, pinball is popular. It's another golden age of pinball.
The game has to be fun, and it has to have a good rule set, and it has to be dynamic and aesthetically pleasing, and it should have a good sound package. It's very rare when all those things come together and all of them are very, very well done. And Mandalorian is that package.
That's the Mandalorian Pinball. That's how all of the pieces come together to make a great game.
What makes him so cute? His big beady eyes. He gets into so much mischief. He can't be mad, he's just so adorable.
I think the fact that he's super force sensitive and could kill you if he wanted to, somehow that adds to him being cute.